message after the tone.
Hey, Kate, it's
me. I'm going in tonight. Seems they've upped their security since my last few visits. That's a good thing, though. Means we're onto something. I'll meet you at the regular spot at the regular time for the handoff. I got a good feeling about tonight. I think I'm close to something big. Alright, I'll see you in a few hours.
On June 19th, 2025, Humanity Adventure 3's long-awaited demo had finally released, giving us our first official look at the full game coming out this fall. The demo takes place 10 years into the past from the game's present year in 2013, showcasing a flashback of an associate of Kate's who was hired by her to infiltrate Hameln's facility and find out what happened to Sam and Rebecca post the acquisition. At first playthrough, the night specifically that the demo takes place doesn't seem to hold much significance outside of major lore drops, hints, and confirmations presented. But if that were really the case, why choose this one random night in the first place? Why out of all the past events in the game's timeline did Mangled Maw Games choose this specific night to be Humanity Adventure 3's opening? Hi, my name is Science Gal, and welcome to the first official video on my second channel. Sorta. The shorts don't count. Now, you've already read the title and are very aware of the bold claim I'm making here about Humanity Adventure 3's demo. But hear me out, okay? I know to you I'm just some random person on the internet that could very much just be making another groundbreaking Humanity Adventure theory with no significant evidence while showing blatant ignorance about the game's lore. Not that I'm calling anyone out or anything along that lines. But I can assure you that I am more than qualified to talk about anything Humanity Adventure. I've been brain rotting over this game series for years now since the pilot version released on itch in 2022. I know a lot of things about this game. I've also made a handful of theories and analysis for it as well, but I never really publicly shared them. But I get a lot of fancy big talking isn't going to prove anything to anyone. So allow me to instead show you why I am a credible source by explaining to you my theory as to why I believe Humanity Adventure 3's demo was showcasing the night that Hameln's facility became abandoned. Now, before we get into this video, I'd like to mention that I have publicly shared this theory before a few months ago in July on Reddit, specifically the Humanity Adventure subreddit. So I'm going to be using a lot of what I wrote there for this script, but with a lot more extra details that I never mentioned in the written version, since that was more of a to-a-point version of it. So consider this video to be the full version of this theory with a bit of retouches or revisions, however we're gonna word it. It's just, it has some fixes, okay? It has some changes, but it's still the same difference, basically. Anyways, let's begin. Now, considering everything we're presented in the demo, it's very clear that Humanity Adventure 3 will be the most lore-heavy installment of the trilogy. And considering that Riley will be exploring the now abandoned Hameln facility according to Humanity Adventure 3's official Steam page, it would make a lot of sense story-wise for the game to start off by suddenly showing us through hints and foreshadowing the events that led to the facility becoming abandoned in the first place. Likely as a way to build up towards its reveal later on as the game progresses, but that's just my guess. It wouldn't be the first time that Mangled Maw Games chose to go down this route, as they used a similar tactic in Humanity Adventure 1 to suddenly foreshadow Joanne and Jordan's character reveals in Humanity Adventure 2 through the letters that Joanne had sent to Kate years ago that she had displayed on her pinboard. The beginning of the demo actually seems to be foreshadowing that something major happened that night that wasn't directly presented. Just take a listen to the voice message that Kate's associate, aka the person we play as in the demo, left her at the beginning. Also, since we still don't have any clues that point to their identity, no, they are not David, and I will not be hearing anyone out. I'll be referring to them in this video as the Infiltrator.
Hey, Kate, it's
me. I'm going in tonight. Seems they've upped their security since my last few visits. That's a good thing, though. Means we're onto something. I'll meet you at the regular spot at the regular time for the handoff. I got a good feeling about tonight. I think I'm close to something big. Alright, I'll see you in a few hours.
as you can see, there's a lot of key things that the infiltrator mentions in their voice message that feels very important to know for future reference. Like seriously, if that entire message isn't foreshadowing at its finest that shit went down that night, I don't know what is. With all that in mind, it's safe to assume that the events of that night have a high chance of tying into the facility's abandonment. So, if we were going in with the hypothesis that this was the night that Hameln's facility became abandoned, how exactly would this even end up happening in the first place? Now, what fuels me to believe that this was the night that Hameln's facility became abandoned is the demo's ending. While the infiltrator tries to escape via the elevator after completing the backup, the elevator door refuses to immediately open, so they end up getting caught by one of Hameln's night shift guards. Which, on an unrelated note, I can't help but wonder if the guard was low-key the same one from the security footage secret tape in Humanity Adventure 1, but that really isn't relevant right now, so let's move on. We know for a fact that the guard was armed, as the sound of a gun reloading could be heard before the infiltrator's voice gets cut off, and the cutscene cuts to black. A lot of people have been speculated that the infiltrator died that night because of this. But if that were really the case, why didn't the cutscene abruptly end with the sound of a gunshot to indicate this? More importantly, and what I find to be the most interesting part about this entire cutscene, why exactly did it abruptly end with the sound of an elevator dinging once? Now, since I've only ever used an elevator like twice in my life, I had to Google what the fuck elevator dings mean in the first place, and apparently one ding means that an elevator is going up, which explains why the elevator door didn't automatically open in the first place when the infiltrator was spam pressing the button. Now, under normal circumstances, that thing could have simply just been an indication that the elevator was being called up. But we're overanalyzing a horror game with lore for crying out loud. There's absolutely no way it's that simple. The ding had to have been hinting at something important that happened after the cutscene ended. If I had to guess, someone or something must have been in that elevator when it was being called up. And I believe that that something was Amanda's demon. Okay, so before I actually start explaining this theory and the evidence I have gathered for it, I'd like to mention as well, just in case anyone starts to pull out the, oh, you stole this idea from XYZ, that I came up with every single conclusion I've made for this theory completely on my own. I am aware, however, that a lot of people have had a similar thought process about the elevator ding at the end of the demo, since I've seen multiple clickbait thumbnails popping up on YouTube post the time I personally spent coming up with this theory after the demo's release of Willie's demon standing inside the elevator. So yeah, just thought I'd point that out before we proceed for good measure. Now, I know you all must be looking at me right now like I've suddenly grown two heads as you wonder how the actual hell I've even come to this fucking conclusion. But I can assure you I'm not just talking out of my ass here. I actually have a lot of evidence to back this theory up. Throughout the demo, we are given many hints that were likely foreshadowing Amanda's demon's sudden appearance that night. It all starts with the green secret tape from Humanity Adventure 2 labeled as Rebecca's room in the credits. In this tape, we are shown an unconscious Rebecca, who appears to be physically older, laying on a hospital bed as two doctors continue to monitor her current physical and mental state.
Her condition is stable, but her brain activity is severely out of balance.
Noticing more of that on the readings later. Keep a monitor on the nerve functions around the amygdala. Those always go up right before a needs. Excuse me, this corridor isn't scheduled. Hey, excuse me!
They came to the conclusion that her condition is stable, but her brain activity appeared to be severely out of balance. The most notable information that we get from this tape is the fact that one of the doctors then suggested to keep a monitor on the nerve functions around her the part of the brain that plays a role in one's emotions, according to research, as those apparently tend to go up before what I assumed they were going to say before cutting themselves off, an incident. Now, when this tape was first revealed to us in Humanity Adventure 2, there wasn't much we could really do at the time to figure out what relevance this tape had to the game's lore outside of what was presented, but now that we have Humanity Adventure 3's demo, there's a lot more that we can now unpack from it that we initially couldn't. First off, Rebecca being physically older in the secret tape likely indicates that the footage was filmed closely to Humanity Adventure 3's demo's events. Considering that the demo takes place in the year 2013, it would likely leave Rebecca's body at the physical age of 16 years old, seeing that Hameln had kept her body alive since her surgery. The last known year that Rebecca was still alive, or more specifically, still had her soul, was the year 2002, when she was stated to be around 5 years old, according to Caroline in the orange secret tape from Humanity Adventure 2, labeled as occult research meetings in the credits.
How old is she here?
About 5.
Further evidence for this can be seen when we take a look at the casting credits for the Green Secret tape. The actress who played Rebecca was credited to be Michaela Berth, a college student who is currently majoring in film, which, good for her, honestly. She hasn't publicly mentioned her age anywhere on her socials, but she is graduating in 2026 according to her Instagram bio, which again, good for her. So that would roughly leave her to be about 21 years old today. Depending on whether or not the footage for the Green Secret tape was actually filmed in either 2023 or 2024, that would lead Michaela to be roughly around the age of either 19 or 20 years old during filming. Now, this casting decision and information are both very important, because if Rebecca was meant to be 16 years old in this secret tape, it would make a lot of sense for a college student to be the one to play that role, since majority of young adults/late teens can still pass off as adolescents due to lack of immediate or notable physical aging in their early adulthood. No research to back that one up, just speaking from personal experience as a 20-year-old that doesn't look her age. So the chances of the events of the Green Secret tape taking place in the year 2013 near the demo's events are very high. With that in mind, let's actually start getting into the incidents that one of the doctors are referring to. First off, let's conduct a brief analysis on Amanda's demon and its attack patterns. We know for a fact that Amanda and her demon are both demonically connected to each other. For that reason, her demon is always drawn to the tapes no matter where they are located or being played, as it's her demon's job to protect them. Whenever Amanda is on screen while one of the tapes are being played, she has the ability to give her demon direct orders and control it. Despite this, however, her demon still has the ability to act on its own. When it comes to attacking specifically, it tends to do so on its own for two main reasons. One, whenever the tapes are in danger of getting destroyed under any circumstances, and two, whenever Amanda becomes visibly upset over anything. Now, this information may seem unrelated at first, but remember what one of the doctors specifically said in the Green Secret tape.
Keep a monitor on the nerve functions around the amygdala. Those always go up right before it needs.
The incidents that the doctor was referring to could very likely be Amanda's demon growing concerningly hostile towards Hameln's staff due to Rebecca's unstable brain activity. According to an article written by Mike Richmond covering a research study paper by author Dr. Ming, how do you say this name? And co-author Dr. Douglas Chang, the word that I still can't read is defined as the region of the brain that processes such emotions as fear, anxiety, and aggression. Dr. Douglas Chang stated that the word I still can't read is involved with processing threat perception and with linking emotion to experience in complex ways. We know for a fact that Amanda's mood tends to be very volatile, and that she becomes especially aggressive unexpectedly whenever Hameln or any reminders of them and her surgery are brought up. Despite her explicit hostility towards them, however, it's very clear that she's simultaneously suffering from severe trauma after everything she's been through. With all that in mind, it's safe to assume that Rebecca was likely experiencing a lot of internalized feelings of fear, anxiety, and aggression she couldn't properly express while under Hameln's control, which resulted in the rise of the nerve functions around her. Still can't read it, I'm sorry. The Amanda demon must have likely been able to sense her internalized emotions due to their demonic connection, which in turn triggered it to attack what it viewed to be the threat as a result: Hameln employees. Thus, the incidents the doctor mentioned in the Green Secret tape were born. Now, if this explanation really is the case, it's likely that these incidents have started to raise some concerns amongst Hameln, especially if Rebecca's brain activity only continued to grow more unstable and out of balance as the days went by, as that would in turn cause the incidents to occur more frequently. Hameln now needed to take necessary measures to ensure that this growing issue with Rebecca's brain activity and the Amanda demon didn't get out of hand. So what did they do? They upped their security, of course. If Amanda's demon was actively attacking them and becoming more hostile towards them, Hameln needed to find a way to keep it both properly confined and under a watchful eye in order to monitor its behavior and keep it under their control. And what better way for them to do just that than upgrading their security? Think about it. As far as we're concerned at the moment, Hameln is merely a cult run by humans that don't seem to possess any supernatural abilities of their own. The only reason they've been able to keep themselves afloat for so long without consequences is because they have demons under their control to do whatever bidding they request. The biggest piece of evidence we have for this is the fact that Hameln only ever seems to use regular human measures to deal with threats.
Damn.
Security lockdown protocol initiated.
That is not good.
Please remain calm. Authorized Hameln employees should follow the security lockdown deactivation procedure if they wish to deactivate the security lockdown protocol. Warning. Facility entering threat disposal mode.
The only time we actually ever seen them use a demonic method to dispose of a threat was during the true ending of Humanity Adventure 2, when they sent Willie's demon to kill Joanne after she declared that she was no longer going to act as their pawn anymore.
Go! I'll be right behind you. I promise.
Considering, however, that method was an indirect move on their part, it just acts as more proof that Hameln likely isn't capable of performing any demonic abilities themselves. In other words, they can't do shit without their fucking demons! With that in mind, Hameln would be very screwed if they were to ever lose control of one of their creations, so they had to do everything in their power to make sure that didn't happen, because as far as we're concerned, if Amanda's demon only continued to grow more hostile towards them because of Rebecca's out-of-balance brain activity, it could pose as a possible threat to them if they end up losing full control over it. So with all that information in mind, how exactly does all this tie back into the events of the demo? Given everything that we now know, this is how I personally believe the story went down. After the infiltrator was discovered to be in the building that night, we know for a fact that all of Hameln's night shift staff members immediately turned their attention towards finding them. During this sudden chaos now, there's a high chance that Amanda's demon was left temporarily unattended by security in order to deal with the infiltrator. Oh shit, the demon who is demonically connected to the girl who is currently showing out-of-balance brain activity was left temporarily unattended. And you know what happens in horror games when you leave unhinged demons unattended? They escape. That's right. During all the chaos, Amanda's demon likely found a way to escape its confinement unnoticed. This now leads us to the end of the demo when the infiltrator gets caught trying to escape via the elevator. Amanda's demon, who was likely being kept imprisoned in the lower floor, must have found its way inside the elevator somehow and was called up to the C-Wing security room after the infiltrator's man pressed the button, indicated by the single elevator ding we hear at the end of the demo when it cuts to black. After that ding was heard, it's likely that the doors automatically opened soon after, revealing the demon's presence, completely unguarded and as hostile as ever. The demon then likely went on to attack as it does, and despite Hameln's best efforts to stop it, it was simply too late. There was absolutely nothing they could do anymore to control it now that it had escaped. With Amanda's demon now loose within the facility, it was too dangerous for Hameln to continue their operations there, so they had no other choice but to abandon ship that night, and eventually, their entire project with Rebecca completely. Leading to where things stand now 10 years later. With the facility now abandoned, Amanda's demon freed, and Rebecca being left alone to rot. Okay, let's wrap this up. My throat's killing me. This theory, in my opinion, could also explain why Hamelin is so hell-bent on destroying the tapes in the first place, because it's clear from what we got in the first ending in Amanda Adventure 2 that if we destroy the tapes, it's likely Amanda gets, I guess, destroyed with them, which could also explain why Amanda wants to keep them protected since she still thinks there's a chance she can be saved. And if Hamelin can no longer control Amanda and her demon, they now have to make sure that everything regarding that project, whatever it was, that they were doing with Rebecca was gone, because Amanda and her demon are now lethal to them as long as they are both kept alive. We also never got an explanation as to how Amanda and her demon became freed from Hamlet's control in the first place, so her out-of-balance brain activity and her demon being the cause of Hamlet's facility's abandonment makes a lot of sense. I also had a point I made about Wooly originally that I elaborated on in another theory, but that was before I became aware of the Wooly's Marcus theory and got confirmation that Markham was Wooly's possessor, but that's an entirely different rabbit hole in itself. But anyways, this is just my theory as to how and why I think Hamlet's facility became abandoned in the first place, based on everything we know so far. Let me know in the comments what you think about it, whether you agree or disagree, just please be nice. And let me know if you have any Amanda the Adventure theories of your own. Thank you so much for watching and listening to me ramble for however long this video ends up being. My throat's killing me. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out. My throat actually feels so sore. Oh my god, recording this long was such a mistake.